Some pictures are meant to capture memories, others capture nightmares. Tonight, we are looking at some of the most darkest and unsettling photographs on the whole internet. At first glance, they might seem ordinary, but once you learn stories behind them, you'll never look at them the same way. Before we begin, some of these stories discuss tragic real-life events, loss of life, and disturbing moments in history that some viewers may find unsettling. Viewer discretion is advised. Now, turn off the lights, put on the headphones, and let's begin. So, this is the first picture, and its name is Jeannie, isolated from the outside world by her own father. Without normal social interaction, without an education, without the opportunity to develop love language like other children. Whenever she tried to make noise, she was reportedly punished. By the time authorities rescued her, she struggled to communicate with the others. Even the way she stood and moved reflected years of severe isolation. Her story remains one of the most heartbreaking child abuse cases ever documented. But if it continues to raise important questions about childhood development and recovery, if you think that was disturbing, the next image comes from a very different chapter of history. This is the second picture of Trophy Heads. The photograph was taken during a period of conflict. Behind the man sitting in the picture are preserved human heads. They are not replicas, they are real historical artifacts. In certain cultures and periods of warfare, enemies' heads were preserved and displayed as symbols of victory. Although shockingly today, these practices reflected beliefs and traditions that existed at the time. Even now, the photograph remains one of the most unsettling historical images ever captured. History can be disturbing, but sometimes the strangest stories happen much closer to home. This is the third picture, human dolls. At first glance, this looks like an ordinary doll. But the truth behind it is far more unsettling. A Russian man named Anthony Moskvin became obsessed with collecting dolls. Authorities later discovered that over time, his obsession developed into something deeply disturbing. Authorities later discovered that he had illegally exhumed human remains and transformed them into life-sized dolls, which he kept it throughout his whole house. When investigators searched the property, they discovered 26 of these figures. Some represented children, some others adults. It was a case that shocked the world and remains one of the most disturbing criminal investigation of its kind. Sometimes people we fear most don't look like monsters at all. Don't look like monsters at all. Sometimes they are completely ordinary. For story 4, so this is the fourth picture. Monier, if I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrongly, but I don't know how to pronounce this, okay? When police entered this house, they immediately noticed a terrible smell. The room was completely dark. Inside, they found a woman lying on the bed. She was severely malnutritioned after spending years confined to the room. Her name was Monier again. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. She had been kept there for 25 years. The person responsible was her own mother. Her story became one of the France's most shocking criminal cases ever to exist, and remains a powerful reminder of how unimaginable cruelty can exist behind the closed doors. Not every photograph on this list tells a different story of horror. Some tell stories of love, loss, and remembrance. This is the fifth picture, Victorian portrait. This child has sadly passed away. During the Victorian era, photographs were rare and expensive. Many families never had the chance to make portraits with their loved ones while they were still alive. So after death, they carefully dressed them, positioned them, and took one final photograph, not to celebrate death, but because it was the only lasting memory that they could afford to keep. Today, these portraits may seem unsettling, but for those families, they represented love, remembrance, and one final goodbye. History has left behind many countless photographs, some beautiful, some tragic, and some that continue to haunt people for decades later. The images may be old, but the stories behind them will never be forgotten. If you enjoyed this documentary, leave a like, subscribe for more mysterious internet history and fascinating true stories. Let me know which photograph stayed with you the most. Until the next time, stay curious, stay safe, and bye bye.